discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and we are doing a top 10 games that cause analysis paralysis, which is, if you don't know what analysis paralysis is, at least in terms of board gaming, is yeah, they'll be like, oh, you're AP, we're all AP, or you're AP. It's obviously used in a negative way to denote someone that if they get presented with more than one option, if they get presented with a bunch of options, they lock up and they freeze up and take 20 years to do their turn. So these are the games, at least, yeah, the top 11 games that I did my list in terms of games that I've seen it cause it, or I have also had it happen to me.
Mine's a little both.
Okay, yeah, so I did a little bit of both, and then I also ranked them in terms of how I feel how much they cause analysis paralysis, not which games I like.
Me too.
Yep. And so this is going to be a very finicky list because it's going to be dependent on the group.
Yeah.
Like, you could easily have someone who doesn't think strategically or doesn't, or can see the best option almost immediately, and they're not going to have that problem. But you can play the same game with someone else, and they just sit there forever. And also it's dependent on if people never think about their turns when it's other people's turns. They wait till it rolls to them, and then they're like,
a lot of times these are games that a lot of these are games that don't allow you the chance to look at your turn ahead of time too.
Okay.
So then it's like there's no point in looking at it because by the time it's your turn, it's like then you have to start because the game changes so much from.
So that's interesting. Yeah.
Turn. And you'll see why. I'll explain that on some of these.
Right. Here's another good question. Do you have any co-op games on your list? Because I do not. I couldn't think of any co-op games that would cause it might cause one person, but since it's cooperative, you're there to help them.
No co-ops.
Okay. Because I was going to be intrigued if you did, because it's like, well, they're having a tough time deciding what to do on their turn, but I can help them. So here are our options. Yep. So let's go ahead and get started with an honorable mention. How many crossover do you think we'll have?
This is tough.
It is really tough.
I know one for sure.
Yeah, I do as well.
I would say.
I'd say probably just one. Maybe
I'm gonna say two at the very most, but probably just one.
Yeah, like it'd be interesting to see if we had the same train of thought whenever it came to certain games, because we're not gonna have the same experience.
Well, I will put a little dot next to the ones I think it's gonna be, and then that way.
Yep, there we go. Alright, so my number 11 in honorable mention is a tableau building game where each person plays a different faction called Imperial Settlers. So in Imperial Settlers you have your own faction with your own deck of cards, and then there's a common deck of cards that you can also draw. So you're always going to have a hand of cards, and then you're going to be trying to decide which cards are best to put in your tableau and which ones to build. This is especially if you're not building your deck. And how you're going to interact with the other players. So the reason why I say it causes analysis paralysis, not as much as all the other 10 games, but because you're presented with so many options.
It's like, do I make a deal with this card?
Yeah, do I want to flip this? Do I want to use it? Do I want to tear down? Which buildings do I want to tear down? And then there's also ones that are actions. So you're like, as the game goes on, you're going to have more and more cards, and you're going to, do I want to do faction cards? Do I want to do the regular common cards? Who do I want to attack? And with expansions later on, it's like, do I want to make a deal with this person? Do I want to give them workers to get that good? So you're just presented with a lot, and even more as the game goes on, that I've never really had. I mean, yeah, you're limited to a hand of cards, but over time you can keep drawing more and more. So you're going to be like, I don't know which one of these to play, which one's the best option.
Well, and you have to draft at the beginning.
You have to. Oh, you're right. You do draft at the beginning. Yeah, so especially if you're new to the game, this is one that and I'll probably denote this each time, this is one that I've seen it happen to someone, and it hasn't happened to me.
Right.
But yeah, that's my number 11.
My number 11 is a game that I just got, like, in the past month or two.
Okay.
But I played it before, and then I played it more now.
Oh, I see.
It's Zulkin, the Mayan calendar.
Oh, okay. Did you get that again?
I just the first time I had it.
Oh, okay.
I just had played other people's.
It's the tableau one, not the
No,
tableau,
this is the one with the dials.
or the dials.
And that's the thing. It's like, the game ultimately isn't that difficult. It's you place your workers, you do your stuff, you make your corn, get the purpose goals, all that good stuff. But it's knowing when to pull them off those damn gears.
Yeah.
Because the gears are constantly moving. It's like, okay, if I let it go around the table one more time, is it going to be too late for me to get my person picked up from here? So you have to think a table turn away if it's going to turn before it gets back to you, and it's just like, and I know it probably gets easy. I'm assuming a lot of these games it's going to get easier
the more you play
them.
it.
But still, any game that you have to, like chess type game where you have to sit and think 2, 3, 4 moves ahead,
it's gonna inherently cause it. Yeah. And another thing I should say is with these games, we're not saying that if you have analysis that you're stupid.
Oh no.
Because I've played mini games with a lot of smart people that they just want to analyze every single opportunity and then find the best one. And I guarantee you, everyone I play with will probably say I have it, even though I don't think I have it.
I've done it before.
Yeah.
Stuff.
It varies on the game, but for the most part, at least with myself, I'll think of 2 or 3. Be like, okay, this is this is what but if I probably could find better opportunities. In reality, the people who have analysis paralysis end up better because they sat there and.
Well, that's the thing. The guy that
50 minutes later,
the guy that I picture the most that does this is a guy I play with over in Pittsburgh. Yeah, he's an older gentleman, and he, towards the end of the game especially, he'll sit here and he will physically, mathematically do, okay, I'm going to get 5 victory points if I do this. I'm going to get 6 if I do that.
Yeah.
He goes through every possibility of what he's maximizing. And the whole min-max stuff, and then he'll take the deal, and it's just it just takes forever. It's like, come on.
It's like, dear God, dude.
But I understand what he's doing. I mean, because he's just.
It's at the end of the day, at least for me, it's I don't want to sit here any longer than I have to. I want to play the game, but anyway. So onto the actual list.
Yes.
My number 10 is the only real-time game that I have on this list. I wanted to stay away from them as much as possible because. Most real-time games don't give you the option to actually have analysis paralysis, otherwise you're going to lose. But this game has real-time, and then it has an actual turn order thing, and that's Millennium Blades.
Okay.
So Millennium Blades is a real-time game, super meta. It's a card drafting and card constructing game about deck building and deck constructing. So the first half is the real-time portion, where you are spending money to buy packs of cards, to trade with other players, and then you're trying to come up with the best 8-card hand that you go into the tournament section, which is the non-real-time. And you're trying to get accessories and deck boxes. But, unlike Escape or, what's it, Captain Sonar or stuff like that, you're given a lot of time. So if you're constantly just buying cards, and you're going to have so much, that by the time you're trying to think of the 8 cards, you're going to have a lot of options. You're going to have to see, okay, well, if I have this card, this will combo with this card, but then I won't be able to use this card. And you're just going to, it's like you're deck constructing. If you've ever sat down with Magic cards and just sat there, it makes me, anxious to just sit there with all the options, because I'm I don't even know where to begin. And Millennium Blades gives you that as well. Typically, what I'll do in Millennium Blades is I'll find a few good cards, and then I'll try to just build around those instead of just buying cards and trying to find 8 all at once. And it usually turns out really well, because also deck build or those kinds of games, you're competing against the other players in the second half, and you're playing your cards hopefully in the order, but you might have to change strategies. If you play a card and someone plays another card that flips it, and you were hoping to use that ability, you have to now think on the fly and understand, well, how do I deal with that? Which will cause, which could cause AP. So it's just it's a 2-for-1. You can get locked up in the real time, and then depending on what other players do, you can get locked up in the second half. I still love this game. I think it's fantastic. I love the meta of it. And, I mean, over time, I mean, with this one, it's going to be even more if you don't know, because there's cards that make you, hey, say a card that's in a player's hand and they can't use it. It's like, well, if you haven't played the game or you've played it very little, you're not going to know anything like that. So, like you said, over time, these will probably be less and less, but, I mean, you never know. So that's my number 10, Millennium Blades.
My number 10 is a game that I was going to bring over here, but I couldn't get back from a friend.
Oh.
Is Bunny Kingdom.
Okay.
And this one causes me AP, mainly because I still have the original game board, so it's the smaller board. It's a late game. It's just so populated and crammed. I still need to get the
bigger one,
bigger board that they're selling for just shipping. But towards the end of the game, I mean, you're dropping your ending scores is in the 200. Like,
oh wow!
I mean, you score a lot of victory points in this, and depending on how big your fief is, and if you have, if you have the coveted 3-tower deal in your fief and all this stuff, you're just piling points and everything, and it's such a. I don't think it would cause as big of a problem. I think it's more of a visual AP because everything is just so crammed in there. If you've ever seen a picture of like an in-game deal on the original boards where it's just packed.
No, I haven't looked too much in this game. I want to play this game.
Yeah. And I'll get it to over, but it's a great game. I love the game. It's just so compact, and you have to really focus
on what's yours,
on what you're doing and stuff like that. But for that reason, that's really it's territory control, and you're battling out with bunnies.
All right.
Yeah, it
sounds super adorable.
Yeah.
All right. So my number 9 is a game that already has a negative stigma just for the sheer amount of math that's involved, which in all reality actually isn't that much once you really think about it. But it's Power Grid. Have you ever played Power Grid?
Yep. I like
it. I like Power Grid a lot too. And actually, here's another really good thing that shows how good Power Grid is. Whenever we were first playing it, it was me, 2 other people, and my other friend Devin. And Kat came home, saw it, and she's like, no. Well, we were doing a game night, and I brought it out, and Kat came in, she's like, no, because she really didn't want to play it. But she actually ended up liking it.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with Power Grid is there is math, and there's shitty paper money.
I had card money. Did I tell you that?
No.
A friend of mine got on Game Crafter,
and
he printed off like playing card.
Oh.
And he gave me 2 decks of it, so then I just got rid of paper money, and it's just like playing card money.
That'd be cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it'd be way better. But so what you have to do in Power Grid is you are trying to auction for power plants that utilize resources, and then you have another turn where you have other resources that you have to buy the resources to use for your power plants, and then you have to pay for the houses to go in certain areas, which could be a certain cost or more depending on if there's other people already there. And if you're moving houses, you have to pay for the cost of the lanes. So there's just a lot of opportunities where you have to sit here and look at how much money you have, and because as resources dwindle, they become more and more expensive. So you need to figure out, okay, can I spend this much on these power plants? Yep, then I need to figure out how to be able to keep these power plants running, and then I need to figure out how much it's going to cost to place them for a little bit of area control. And then once you do that, then you spend the resources to power your houses, and that's going to determine how much money you get, and ultimately if you win. There's just so much opportunities for math, and you're going to be sitting there like just min-maxing, like, okay, I need to do this, and if I spend that, okay, then I have to buy this, and then oh crap, what? Okay, well I'm going actually last, so if they buy these resources, then that means it's going to cost even more. So this is one of those games that you kind of want to have an idea of what you want to do, but it's ultimately going to be dependent on the other players. So and turn order, because if you're in first place, you have first dibs at the power plants, but you're last place in placing houses and buying resources. So if you're doing well, you should just sit there and just wait for everyone to do it and then do your turn, which is what can cause a slow game.
The art of this game was what detracted me from it for the longest time until I tried
On the cover.
Just the cover,
Yeah.
Just everything.
Man, who's the
board's busy. It's it's Freedom and Freeze.
Yep, you're right.
But
he always has paper money.
My wife loves this game. That surprised the hell out of me.
Really?
I played this game with my wife and kids, and they all actually got onto it and played it really well.
Yeah.
My wife kicks my ass at this game.
This game is actually really good. It's at first, because I won the first game that I ever played, and I was sitting there and I'm like, man, this game is really punishing if you're in first place.
Yes.
Because you're sitting there going last in everything that's important.
Yep.
So, but we played it again, and it wasn't as bad the second time, and then it's a really solid game. But I've only ever played on the Europe board. So
on the U.S. board.
I can imagine the U.S. board is awful. It looks awful, especially West Coast.
Yeah.
You're like, everything's so expensive over here.
Yeah.
But they have like a bunch of other countries.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I like it. I do like it enough to actually shell money out for the packs. But that's my number 9, Power Grid.
All right. My number 9 is on this list mainly because of one mechanic in this game that always seems to give everybody AP, it seems like.
Okay.
And it's Castles of Mad King Ludwig.
I haven't
You
played
played
it.
that?
It's literally right over there.
It's a good one.
At the bottom, I know.
Yeah.
Bezier Games?
Bezier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But anyway, it is the builder mechanic.
Okay.
Because what happens is they set
that's the price.
And that drags so many people down in this game because they're like you want there's a piece you really want.
Yeah.
But you don't want it to be that expensive. It's almost like the Isle of Skye thing.
Yeah, I was about to say.
You know, like, and you're sitting here, and it's pretty. You're spending a lot of money on these things,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's like you're laying things out. It's like, oh, I really want this one, but I don't want to spend $10,000 for it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like.
But you don't want to make it too cheap because
so
then someone else will
you're
buy
sitting there
it.
and you're looking at everybody. It just takes. That's the longest part of this game.
Yeah.
In my opinion, is the builder getting. Now the builder gets all the cash. That's
Oh,
bought.
Okay.
You know, and stuff, and so it's good that way too.
Mhm.
If you know somebody wants it.
Wait, so someone like if we were playing and it's me and you,
Mhm.
I like am I the builder that turn?
It takes turns. It rotates.
Okay,
the
so
person
then
does it.
so everything that I set, what you all buy, all comes to me. Okay, so it's
That's the
different.
only way to make money.
Okay, because in Isle of Skye you have your own tiles.
Yeah, it's different. It's not the
Okay.
same mechanic. I was just meaning it was kind of.
Yeah, no, it's still the same
premise.
ilk, but I was just curious.
And that's how you pull your bills in
Okay.
that game is you're setting your stuff and it's almost kind of another game would be like Vault Wars. If you're the auctioneer,
right, yeah.
you get all the money when
Mhm.
this thing sells. But that auction mechanic is the biggest thing because that you can win or lose by that. If you could screw yourself.
Yep, I can see that.
But just really quick, Castle Making Ludwig, you're building your own castle, and you get points depending on if proper things are put next to each other. If you put the kitchen right next to the bedroom or something like the bowling alley next to the bedroom, something that's negative
A
points.
bowling alley.
There's all kinds of stuff like, and your castle always looks really crazy at the end,
Mm-hmm.
but you can make it really feng shui and work really well. You also get bonuses. You get these little cards that'll tell you, if you have the most green rooms or whatever. There's just a bunch of different things, but it's a great game. It runs pretty smooth other than the auction phase, and that's what drags it down to a screeching halt, unless you just don't give a shit.
Yeah, you're just like, all right, everything's $1
out there.
All right, so my number 8 is one of the ones that I think might be on your list, if you think about it, but it may not actually. But it's one of those two. My number 8 is Seven Wonders. So
Really?
Yep. So Seven Wonders, and only because one, there's a huge variety of ways you can win this game, especially if you have the expansions, leaders, and cities, and Armada. Was that one of them?
Yeah.
So you have all these different cards, and if you have leaders, then it's all about the drafting. So not only do you have to think about what you want, given with the options that you have, then you also have to think about what your opponents might want. So you have to think, okay, well, I could take this because, oh wow, they already have a lot of military, I don't want them to have more, so I guess I'll take that, but there's these science that I really want. And it depends on the number of players in the game,
Yeah.
so you really are just going to be sitting there, like, trying to think about, you have to really think about, strategize for 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
And indirectly, even everyone else, because you could be like, well, he really doesn't affect me, but he might actually get it.
Yeah.
So, in Seven Wonders, if you have the leaders, then not only do you have to draft the leaders and utilize and try and think about how they are going to benefit you and pay for them and do all that, your opponents will also have leaders. So you're like, okay, well, what strategy where they might go? Armada just adds even more of that.
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking of ways to move the ships up on these individual tracks, because now not only do you have to worry about combat on land, you have to worry about combat on the sea, and just there's just a
Babylon's that
you're right.
Team where you're working together.
Yep,
and stuff.
yep.
Right.
Babel to add the different laws that will change the whole structure of the game. So there's just so much in Seven Wonders, and I mean at its core it's a simple game.
Yeah.
But there's just a bunch of cards and a bunch of variety that makes the game. I've seen it cause that. It doesn't have to be because I usually kind of think. I'm like, well, okay, let's go this way.
I was going to disagree with you, but casual gamers or people new to the game for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many icons. It even
Oh yeah.
more.
I think
Somebody that's played it I mean I've played hundreds of games of this.
Right.
And the app,
mm-hmm.
it takes me 5 minutes and the game's over.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's. You can, again, it goes just like what we said with those other games.
Yeah.
The more you play it, the more you know what you're going to do.
I mean,
But newbies or people that
are
don't
more
play
casual,
it often, there's a lot of icons in this game that drags it down.
That's actually a good point. I wasn't even really thinking about the icons because, it's just there's so many.
Yeah.
And if you don't play with the expansions a lot, there's not a good player aid. There's player aids, but there's like one, so you're constantly having to
I printed them off.
Yeah, to be like, okay, what does this do? So that's why it's on here. Number 8, Seven Wonders.
My number 8 is a simple, I guess, filler game, and it's on here because of people trying to maximize their turn.
Okay.
And it's Potion Explosion.
Oh, okay.
And only because every time I've played this game, there's been one person at the table that has sit there and has tried to find that one move that they get the most damn marbles.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just
explosion.
Yeah, it's like it's amazing. It's simple of a game like that, but I mean, and I'm not putting it because I don't have the issue with this game.
Yeah.
But man, it drags people. Every time I've played this, it's like that. It's like I can take this one and this one. I get 4 marbles, but if there's some reds up in that tube up there, I can do this. I can get like 15 marbles.
Yeah.
And it's like. There's going to be a lot of games like that. You know, those games that are simple, but people try to maximize their deal, or they don't want to set up somebody else. You know, so they're thinking about not setting up the player next to them with a big move.
Yeah.
Trying to play defensive.
Gizmo was a little bit. Gizmos was a little bit like
and those
that
are
too.
a lot. Those are in the same vein. I know Gizmo's a little bit more. I haven't played it, but I've heard.
It's a little bit more of an
a
engine
gamer.
building. Yeah.
But anyway, that's really it. I mean, pretty much what you're doing on this is you're collecting marbles. It's just like Bejeweled style.
Yeah.
And you pull a marble, and anytime colors hit together, 2 or more, you take them, you put them on your potions. You complete potions, they become victory points with special abilities.
Yep.
That's it. It's a simple game, but man, it drags it down, people.
I didn't have any,
chat.
whenever I played Potion Explosion, no one had that problem.
Yeah.
But it's also you. It's funny, you just did a name drop, so it's gonna sound worse now that you said that. But there's games that you pick and choose to take seriously.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit there and look at a fucking marble game and be like, oh man, I have to kick your ass at Potion. Like a strategy game, I'll think a while, but Potion Explosion, I'm like, yep.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the only reason it's on here is because it hasn't happened to me, but every time I play this, it happens to somebody.
I can see that.
So that's why.
My number 7 is actually the game that I think might be on your list. All these other ones, I know exactly for one.
So this one's the one you know is going to be on my list?
No. This is one that I think would be on your list if you thought about it, and it's Elysium.
Okay.
So Elysium is a phenomenal game that is never talked about anymore.
God, it needs an expansion.
You know, it does. I just want more because it's such a good game, but it honestly has a lot of content in the box.
It does. It's just, yeah.
So Elysium, it's kind of in that same vein as Seven Wonders, is you have so many options of strategies, of ways to get points, especially whenever you are, because you can play different ways, and a wonderful thing in the back of the rulebook, it tells you, if you want a game like this, add these god decks. If you want a game like this, add these. So, so you'll mix together a bunch of different cards, and then there'll be 9. There'll be a certain number out on the table. At each turn, you will take columns, and you will, if you have the certain columns available, you can take cards and you put them up at the top to use. And then you have to get rid of a yellow card. It doesn't have to relate to the one that you just took, but you just get rid of a colored column, and that slowly reduces the cards you can take. And each of them, once again, have icons. I probably could have just taken games that have icons, because that's just going to cause AP no matter what.
Yep.
But they're going to have icons that you're going to be like, okay, so if I use this, and that'll get me this, and then, so you're trying to think of all these abilities. Not only do you have to think about what you want to grab, you once again have to think about what your opponents are going to take. And then you will, at some point, have to decide when to put these into your Elysium to get family points and legend points, or legend sets, but you won't get to use the abilities. So you have to also think about when is this a good time?
When the tipping point is to start doing
Yep. And so whenever that happens, it's like, okay, now there's just a lot to this game. You can, and I've seen that happen where you can just, double down and be like, this is just the path I'm going to take, and run for it and see if that works. I've seen that work really well. Last game I actually played, a guy I was playing with did that and ended up winning. Very close game, but he still ended up winning that way. But I've also seen it where you're trying to think about, okay, well, these are all really good. Do I want to get that? Do I want to get that one? Okay, now I have all these, and then I'm going to use these forever. Oh, wait, how do we get points? Oh, they need to be down here? Oh, crap, but I'm still using all of them.
I like that mechanic. There's a lot of games that use that mechanic.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a good thing.
Lately,
Valley of the Kings does that.
Yeah, so lately I've actually been really keen on games like that. Like another one that's similar to that is your victory points are also things that you use throughout the game. So it has a little bit more weight. Instead of like, okay, there's a victory point track, it's like, yep, actually, all the money you have at the Small World, for example. Yep, the money you actually have.
5 tribes. Remember, each coin is a victory point.
Oh, yep, you're right.
And so you're wagering.
So there's a lot of games that do that, and I really like it because it has weight to it.
Yep.
So that's my number 7, Elysium. This game will actually sometimes cause me to have AP because I'm like, I'll be using so many things, and then I'm like, I need to pop these down, but I'm using them right now.
Surprisingly, that's not on my list.
Really?
Yep.
Did you forget about it?
Yeah. But I don't know if it would have, if it made it at all, it would have knocked off Zulkin. Barely. Because I like these next 7 are good ones.
Okay.
My number 7 is a newer game from this year. I've played it a handful of times, and I don't know if you played it yet. Architects of the West Kingdom?
No. Not yet.
I
will be getting it whenever we get Paladins of the West Kingdom.
Okay.
I got the bundle.
Gotcha. This game is in the line of like the Raiders of the North Sea, that whole deal, Shem Phillips, and what makes this game different, because Raiders of the North Sea doesn't have the AAP.
No.
You place a worker, pick up a worker, place a worker, pick up a worker.
Your options are very small.
Right. This one takes a bigger scope.
Okay.
Because it has it where there's tons of places you can go for your actions, but you place a worker here, you do an action, goes around the table. You can choose to place a second worker at that same spot and get a little bit bigger of an action. And I mean, you can keep piling them on there, but you also have to make sure to watch out because some jackass across the table can just go and arrest your whole group of people if you get too many there and it's getting too powerful, and then you have to worry about that. So it's like there's a lot of things you have to really pay attention to the other players on this game, which is a lot of why I think it's like this. There's a lot of decisions because it's not most worker placement games. It's like, well, this person's already there, so I can't go there. The spots get taken, you can't go. This one doesn't limit it.
Okay.
On most, there are some spots that are limited, but this one you just keep going there, but it's at your own risk. If somebody wants to take them out and arrest them or capture them, then that's what happens. and you may want to do the same thing, but it makes you, this one keeps you more player focused on the other players than Raiders, you know, because
Right.
in Raiders you're just kind of bouncing people.
Yeah,
and
the only
stuff.
thing that was like you had to focus on players is if someone pillaged before
Right.
you.
And I still like Raiders better than Architects. It's close, because it's just simple. You just go, especially with the expansions. But Architects, it's a different kind of worker placement.
Yeah.
A worker placement game. It's a hybrid type, and it's cool how it works, and it's going to be one of those, you know, once I play it more, it's going to probably not be as big of a
deal.
Plus, this also has the Seven Wonders effect, where new players with this game, they have 20 workers sitting in front of them, and it's like, oh my god, what do I do? You know, it's like,
how do I manage?
you know,
all
there's
these
so
guys?
many places. You have 20 meeples here. You're trying to put them out, you know,
Mhm.
wherever. So it takes a few plays and when you get into it and stuff, but yeah, it's on there just because it's a pretty wide open worker placement game, and
Yeah, it's one.
causes a little bit of
I'm very excited to try.
thought. I
Okay.
should've brought it too. See, you should
Huh?
have told me to bring that. I had that.
I forgot you had it. My number 6 is actually a very brand new game. Like I think I got this like a week ago.
Okay.
But I have played it multiple times, and I've played it multiple times with 3 people. 3 other people, so 4 times, and I've also played this solo. This is the new Vita Lasarda game, Escape Plan.
Mhm.
So, it's Vita Lasarda. That's my number 6. You can go. No, I'm kidding.
Well,
That's
alright,
it.
okay.
No, I'm actually going to explain. I mean, in all reality, you can literally just say, hey, he made it, so that's why. But no, in Escape Plan, the theme is that you're members of a heist, and you planted money everywhere, shit hit the fan, and you need to leave the city. At its core, it is super simple. On your turn, you either travel or you rest, and that's it. And yeah, the game lasts 3 days, and each day you'll have either 3 to 5 actions. 3 at its base, but there's ways for you to get extra action tokens. The problem with it is that when you travel, you need to know literally what every little thing does. Like, and how traveling works. Oh, you get 3 movement points, so I'm going to move here. Oh, well, I left a spot with cops on it, so now I'm going to have wounds. So I need to actually know where to buy these equipment to protect me from wounds, and then I need to know what wounds do, and then I have there's a notoriety track that the higher it goes up, that's good, but at the end of the game, I'm losing a bunch of points. It's just... The game is just very complicated, and each action that you do, you need to know what all of the other things do.
That's how the sort of game complicated.
I know, right?
Who knew?
So that's my number 6, Escape Plan.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about it. I've heard it's also like his lightest game.
I don't know who that is.
So you know, it was kind of like because all of his other things are so like.
Right, and here's
know.
the thing. I've only ever played this game. I wanted to play Vinos, but I have viticulture, so I'm like, well, they're wine-making games. I think I'll keep Stonemaier. The Gallerist I really want to try, and Kanban I really want to try, and I have On Mars backed.
Kanban is a brain melter, everybody just says.
That's what I mean, because you're going to look at it, and Escape Plan might actually be as easiest because it looks very cohesive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you look at the map and you're like, yep, this looks just like a map. Kanban, from the ones I've seen, are like, oh, here's the boardroom section, and here's the automation section, and here's the parts ordering section, and there's just different little, almost like Dinosaur Island, how there's just different things, but they all integrate with one another.
That's the
kind of like
issue.
Freedom.
That's the issue with that game from people that because I've seen it played,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like it takes forever to teach this game because
Oh yeah, I can see that.
stuff you happen at the beginning affects the end,
Yeah.
and you can't just like, you know,
Yeah.
it's
I can see that.
it's such a complicated deal, but it's supposed to be good.
Here's actually the good thing about Escape Plan. 1, I love this game. 2 is, like, whenever I was teaching the game, it was one of those things that I couldn't leave, like, stuff out and be like, oh, it'll show up later.
Mhm.
Like, the people I was teaching, they were like, well, what's this over here? And I'm like, I'll get to that.
Yeah,
Because I had
yeah.
to teach every little thing. But,
Yeah.
to its merit, it was me, Kat, and 2 new people on the channel, and they have never played a board game before.
Huh?
They played. Sorry, I lied. They played Mountains of Madness and Codenames.
Yeah, so party games.
So yeah, but they were able to figure it out in our first playthrough, and then the second time that we played it, they had they were able to understand what was going on. But she ended up his wife. She gave it a 7 out of 10. But she's like, I'm a pretty smart person, but this game always made me double check if I was doing things right, so it made me feel stupid. Yeah. And I'm like, that seems to be the same. But that's Escape Plan. My number 6.
All right, my number 6 is.
Can you imagine if I just left? It'd be a little sorry. Anyway, go on. What's yours?
A number 6 is a very simple game in.
Why is it on the list?
Theory, but the decisions being made. I find myself playing defensively more than offensively in this game, and it's Azul. Because the
which one?
Just the original.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't got a chance to play the new one. I have it. I just haven't played it yet. The thing that gets me on this game is, and I mean it's simple. You have the factories out here with four squares, tiles, I guess, on each thing of different colors. You pick the colors off of one, the rest goes in the middle, you place it, that's it. I mean, it's got the simple deal. But it's knowing what you need, because you can only put one color per row to fill in that deal. It's knowing what you don't want to leave the other people before it gets to you. You don't know whether to take from the middle, to get that first player, or let it go. You don't, and then it gets really tense towards the very, when there's just a couple of things left, because you don't want to be the one stuck with all the broken tiles and everything. So there's a lot of gaming going on in this, even though it's such a simple game. I still have never won this game.
Really?
I've played this thing probably 30 times. I've never won this game. I've come close, but it's just the gaming. It makes me. It turns on the defensive switch.
Yeah.
Just like drafting games, of like Seven Wonders and stuff. It's like Seven Wonders doesn't do it as much, but I guess what game would be the best? Blood Rage is probably the one that messes with me the most as far as card drafting. It's like all the cards are good.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want that, but I do not want to pass that card over to
right.
them.
Yeah. Normally, I just kind of with situations like that, I'm like, is what I give them is what I take gonna benefit me more than what I give them?
Right.
No, then they don't need this.
Right. And that's what, I mean, with this being, because this game, if everybody sits down and just plays this the way it's supposed to be played, I mean, you can get a game done in 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why the AP, because it's like, that's why I call it AP, because it does extend it. If you start thinking about it, it may extend the game 50%.
Right.
And then that's significant amount for a 20-minute game,
I didn't have any issues with this game. It just kind of clicked for me, but...
well, I mean, it does. It's fine, and the mechanics are great, and it does what it's supposed to. It's just, when you play, especially when you play with the full player count, it gets even more.
What does it play at 4? 4.
We played 3.
Yeah.
When you play with 4, it's ruthless. I mean,
that.
The bag goes through quicker, you have to, and stuff. It's just...
I can
all the tiles are getting on people's boards, so then it starts getting skimpy.
Oh, right,
everything
right.
Bad. It's just a different deal, and like I said, it's on here, and it's not going to be the last game on here that's on this list for that reason.
Gotcha.
The defensive stuff.
That's fair. All right, number 5 is out of all these, is an actual strategy game, kind of like a war game. It's my favorite Madigo game, Inish. Have you played Inish? I can't remember if you played it. I know I played it with Robert and Chad.
I watched a playthrough of it.
Okay.
I owned it, watched the playthrough of it, decided I didn't like it, and shipped it off.
So I would argue that Inish is probably more what? Kemet. No, Kemet does not cause AP because there's no decisions to be made in Kemet. In Inish... Huh? What?
It's just like you're running with your hair on fire. You don't have to make decisions. Fight.
That's literally it. So I would argue out of Inish, Kemet, and Cyclades is probably the one that has the most AP prone. Because in Inish you are clansmen or whatever fighting for for control of certain areas. Each area not only has its special ability, but there are 3 ways to win this game. Control, like lead over 7 or more people, control enough clans, or there's a third one, and I can't remember it off the top of my head. But to play this game, you have a deck of cards that you shuffle, pull one out, and then you draft. And you draft for all these cards, so you need to figure out one, what all the cards do, and how to best utilize them for your own strategy. Because since there's multiple ways to win, you're trying to kind of aim for them all. What makes Inish probably more AP is that the game, whenever you have a victory condition that is met, you literally on your turn have to announce that you're going to win next turn. That is the whole.
It's the kingmaker.
It's the it's the king of the hill kind of thing where it's like, hey, here I am. Or so it makes every other person in a 4-player game. It's like, hey, I'm going to win next turn. They all have one more time to stop you from winning, and if they can't, then you win your next turn. That's what makes this game kind of like a chess match. And that's what I think will cause the AP, because
everybody screeches like, okay, we've got to find a way
Yep.
to just
Yep, so they're going to
take
sit
them out.
there and almost kind of become semi-cooperative.
Yeah.
And it's difficult, and I love that mechanic in this. Because unlike other games that kind of do that, this one doesn't extend the game. It just kind of makes everyone freeze, because it's no longer, everyone's, trying to, hey, I'm going to do this, but then it's like, wait a minute, crap, we all have to try and figure out, and you're analyzing your cards way more. Then you can get epic cards, so you're trying to analyze all that. So it not only causes AP for one person, it kind of can cause AP to multiple. So yeah, and I love it for that reason, but it definitely can screw some people over. And then you have learning the icons on cards, and then trying to figure out, okay, well, we've gone through this deck a couple times. Where is the one that allows me the double move or something like that, and who could possibly have it? So there's just a lot of options, and I think there's 15 cards in the deck, and then controlling areas will get you special area bonuses. But yep, so that's my number 5, Inish.
All right, my number 5 is another moderate filler to light game.
I think I went for heavier games than you did.
Yeah, I think so. Photosynthesis.
I knew that was gonna be on your list. It's not on mine because I'm not an idiot. No, I'm kidding.
Well, no, it's just
I'm kidding.
I put this. What was the? Oh, I guess for like Sulkin, it's the same thing because the sun moves around every time, so you have to really be able to visualize and think about what's going to be showing by the time the sun gets to where you can absorb all your sun. Because like in this game, you're just growing trees of your type. There's a cool little, it's a hex board, and the sun moves around, and if the sun can reach your trees, you gain sun points that you can use to buy stuff, grow trees, do whatever. But there's a shade mechanic, so if there's a taller tree or equal-sized tree in front of you, then you don't get the sun, and so you have to, it's a thinky game. The first time I played this, man, it was rough because I was like, oh, the sun, and then it was like 3 turns of no sun.
Yeah.
It's like, you have to really know how to, get out there. You need to try to get to those middle ring in the middle spot and try to hold it for a while.
Oh yeah, when you cut down,
sun,
it's like when you cut down the tree in that area, right?
That's right. That area, and the earlier you do it, the higher the point. Because it start getting lower in points.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah.
So it's kind of a push your luck.
I'd like to play this game again. I think it's been enough time.
Yeah, I
got burned out.
This is one I think needs an expansion.
I don't know how you do it.
I don't know either. I don't know what
special
to do.
trees maybe
or fire.
Fire.
I
didn't want to. They just have an agenda. They do deforestation.
No, they can make it fantasy. Makes your tree can walk. The Lord of the Rings Photosynthesis edition. I don't know.
Ants are just fist fighting each other.
But anyway, this game, it's simple. Again, like I was talking about Azul, but you have to think moves ahead, and you have to have that chess brain, a little bit and stuff. And I'm not putting this on the list just because of my AP, because I don't necessarily have it as bad, but gosh, some people do.
Right.
For sure.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a thinky.
It's
Probably the most thinky.
It's probably
easy
more
game.
thinky because it takes you by surprise.
Right.
Like
right.
you see the game, you're like, I'm playing trees.
I think that's what probably
Yeah,
because
you're just like,
I played Bunny Kingdom and this on the same day,
Mhm.
back to back.
oh god.
Bunny Kingdom, I looked at it and I was like, oh god, this is gonna be a hefty game.
Yeah.
And it was Photosynthesis that wore me out
Wow.
really more than Bunny Kingdom did. You know, and it's just trees on a board. You know,
That's true.
it's a good one. If you know, I like it, and my wife isn't a huge fan of it, so I'm surprised I
I thought it was fine. Like I said, I played it in like 4 days in a row,
Mhm.
and so I'm like,
Oh,
I
yeah,
hate this game. I
I think they could make an app out of it.
yeah,
That'd be
They
kind of
could.
cool. Show the shade and
That'd be
everything.
neat,
That'd
yeah.
be kind of neat. Maybe-
aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
You could also technically get like a lamp and then just kind of
That's
like.
true. There's
I
There's
do not
people.
doubt that.
get the use
We'll
their
actually
phones,
move it. Yo, yeah, that's
you know, and stuff, and it's
well,
kind of
to each their own.
Yep.
Nerd
alert.
My number, yeah, I know. My number 4 is probably the heaviest game actually on this list. Nope, I lied. It's it's
You don't.
definitely one of them, and it was Board Game Geek's #1 game for a long time.
Twilight Struggle.
Twilight Struggle is a game about the Cold War. One person plays the USSR and the other person plays the USA, and you are vying for control of different countries through card play. And what causes AP is it is literally like it's a struggle because you're trying to get the point tracker isn't it's the first one to 20, but you share a point track.
Right.
So you not only are trying to figure out how best to use the cards in your hand because you don't have just like you don't have like a USA deck and then the other person has a US. You will have cards for both, and when you play cards of your own, you only get the points on it. But if you play cards of theirs, you'll get the points, and then they will get the ability.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to sit there and think with this hand of cards, man, I'm going to get a lot of action points to use to, strengthen, my what do they call it, my territory in certain areas, my influence in certain countries, and I'm going to get rid of their influence and move it on to mine, which will give me points. But man, they're going to get this ability, and this ability is really good. Or do I want to use this for the space race? But if we do all this, then we can do DEFCON stuff, which is going to screw us both over. This game is extremely thinky, and there's not like so many options of things to do. It's just you have a hand of cards that just do a lot of stuff. And then that point tracker, it starts at 0, and like it goes back and forth. So if I gain 10 points, it goes 10 towards me, but then if they gain 15, then they have 5 points, and now you just are going back and forth. I love this game. This game is fantastic and actually feels kind of like the Cold War struggle. They have the history on all the cards, so and there's ways to actually automatically win. You can get certain cards that are like if you control Europe and like another area and play this, you'll automatically win. But the difficult part is if you know that those cards exist, then you're never gonna let that happen. It's a thinky one. So yeah, number 4, Twilight Struggle.
I've never played it. I've always been intrigued by it, but then it just looks a little too.
It's
stout.
it's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Just because of that card play. I mean, it's really good. And not only that, I believe there's 3 eras. So over time, more and more cards get added, and it just becomes even that more. Because as the game goes on, it becomes that much more strategic. Because at the beginning, you're like, yeah, I think I'll go over here, and you'll go over there, and then now it's like, oh my god, I need to get all of this.
I was on the playtest team.
Really?
For the Playdeck app for this game. They put me on and sent me the stuff, but I told them I was like, I have never played the game or anything like that, so they went ahead and took me off the deal because I was just like, no, I wouldn't help you very well because I don't know how to.
Yeah, it's another game I would definitely want to get to the table soon, but you need to find the right person to play this with.
Yeah. All right, my number 4 is another lighter game than yours. This is just gonna keep going.
I think from this on, it's like heavy game, light game, heavy game, light game.
Yeah, pretty much. Role player.
That's not a light game. I wouldn't call it a light. It's not heavy, but I'd call Sagrada light.
Yeah, this is pretty much the fantasy Sagrada in a way. I mean,
there's more to do.
There is. I mean, role players on here just because you really have to manage your dice and stuff to try to get your abilities, is that what they're called? Abilities,
Yeah, your stats.
Your stats,
Mm-hmm.
your to the proper numbers and stuff. And each time you place a dice in a track, you have an ability that you can do, and it's so much dice manipulation in this game, and then it comes down to, I mean, depending on what items you buy from the market during that phase, some of those manipulate things or can be used. There's special abilities that you pick up that may make you do different things. You know, there's just so many aspects to such a simplistic game.
Yeah.
And it added more with the mechs and minions deal.
Monsters and minions.
Or monster. I said mechs and minions. Monsters and minions. Yeah, we're crossing genres. And once you pick that first time I played it, I don't remember who I played it with.
Me?
Might have been you. Maybe.
I think so.
Yeah. It was a little daunting, you know, just trying, because
Right.
I hadn't played Sagrada, I hadn't played,
Mhm.
you know, it was my first, like, dice, trying to place them in the right spots to
Right,
get
right.
stuff. But now it's one of my favorite games. The reason I put on here, I don't necessarily have as much AP on it as other people do. If I had to pick a part of this game that give me the AP the most, it's the initial roll of the dice.
Yeah.
Because it's like you roll those out and it's like, oh my god, it was like if I put the 3 here, which will work perfectly, I don't get to use those abilities those 3 times, and I'm like, so I'm like, you really that part right there is probably the slowest part. After you get that set.
Yeah, it's actually even worse when you have more people, because you fill up your thing a lot more. In the 2-player game, you have more times to use your abilities. I thought about role player and even Sagrada, but then in my opinion, AP, at least whenever I get AP, and when I've seen others get AP, it's whenever you're presented with a ton of options.
Mm-hmm.
And you are in role player, but I think it's even more mitigated because when you roll a certain amount of dice, and that's all you got. Right. So it's like you're not incorrect. But for me, I was like, well, no, there's only ever like a few options out there, and so there's not really a whole lot, at least for me, when I'm placing these. But I could definitely see.
And like I said, that initial roll is the toughest part, because that's when you have to make those big decisions about which of these abilities am I.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's because it's a big difference. You know, I play it solo a lot.
And I guess, as the game goes on, you're starting to really run out of spots, and then you're like, okay, if I put this here.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, if I move this dice to here and switch spots with these 2 dice?
Yeah.
You know, it's just a lot of number manipulation. It's and it's a good, in this game, it's almost a good AP, because everybody's sitting around the table and it's not their turn, like, okay, I do this. It's like everybody's kind of, you know, looking at it as well.
Right.
So anyway, role player, you know, it's gonna have more expansions on more AP.
That is true. My number 3 is a worker placement game about time travel called Anachrony. Thought about Anachrony or Tricarion. I think Anachrony is the heavier one between the two, so I picked it. What causes AP for this game is
everything.
It's everything. You have to learn everything and learn the icons, so it's an icon-heavy game. And you start out, not everyone starts out with the same workers either, so you need to figure out where they utilize your workers, and even when you have to make a decision on which workers to send out, because they can't all go out, you only have a certain number of suits. So you need to figure out how they utilize these workers best, where to place them, and you also have to manage the resources that you get to build buildings, which buildings to build, and then also you need to have enough resources to be able to wake them up, to worry about morale. That's all fine. That's a standard worker placement. The way Anachrony, however, works is that you can get resources or extra mechs or extra workers from the past. So then you have to worry about the time manipulation mechanic. So you have to think about, okay, if I do this, and I'm going to have to remember later on to fix that. Otherwise, I'm going to get paradoxes, and then it's just going to screw me over and hurt me a lot more. While also kind of racing against other people to meet a certain finished game criteria that you have to meet before you can leave, or at least go there and not take negative points. Because it's all about points at the end of the game, and that determines the winner. So whenever it's a worker placement game about points, and you include time travel mechanics into there, you're just going to constantly be thinking about what actions will best give you the most points. And it's wild. Like, this game will cause me AP because of just the sheer amount of just options that you have.
I'm sure it causes most people a little bit of AP.
Yeah.
The Mind Clash games, I'm sure a lot of theirs are like that.
Yeah, I've heard Cerebria is one, Cerebria, I think that's what it was called. And then Tricarion. Tricarion actually, like, Anachrony, the whole game can do it, but in Tricarion there's actually one section which is planning your spells, or not spells, your stage, your tricks for the actuals. That's the most confusing part of the entire game. But ultimately, Anachrony just has so much, and then the time travel for it. I think it's a phenomenal game. Can't wait. There's actually an expansion on Kickstarter right now that is going to add even more.
Almost went in, but
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you'd like it. You might really like the solo, but I don't know if you'll like the actual game.
Theme I
The
like.
theme is really cool.
I mean, that's the thing. That's what keeps drawing me is the time. I like time travel. I
Yeah.
like that. So that's what keeps trying to.
Yeah, I mean, and it's actually a very thematic game too. So, I mean, it hits on all cylinders for me. But yeah, you're going to be thinking about your turns for quite some time. So that's my number 3.
All right, time to go to the light side again. My number 3
It's
is
Eggs and Empires.
no, no. It was on my short list.
Oh god.
No, it is Sagrada.
Okay.
Sagrada I put on here ahead of Role Player because when I play the two games, I've messed myself up so many times playing Sagrada by placing a dice in the wrong spot and then just totally hosing my entire game.
Yeah.
So it's made me gun shy about where to put stuff
yeah.
because the limitations of you can't have the color or the number next to it, and then you have to think about how your plan your plan card is set up because I always pick the hardest one.
I do too.
Well,
you get more options to use the abilities.
Right. So it's like, and then I played this with quite a few people too, and it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
You have to really be meticulous because you don't want to put that whatever color 5 on a whatever, and then you can't put the color next to it or that, and then you're like, oh god.
Yeah, it also can burn you whenever you're like, okay, I just need there's a green right there, and that's all I need. That's the only thing there that I can grab. Yeah. And you fucker.
How often have you finished an entire pane? Like on a hard one.
Once.
Right.
On the hard one, I finished once. The last time we played was during the 12-hour gaming marathon, and I like the one I took, like literally there wasn't like a blank spot. It was like it was just different colors and then different numbers, and I'm like, I can do this. And then like halfway through, I'm like,
yeah, okay,
I can place. Nope. But I will say to help you with that, there's actually get the expansion because the expansion adds a wheel that will start with dice, and you can actually swap them or pull from your own seat like pool.
Right.
That's going to dwindle out too, but you have more. It mitigates the fact that I can only use that one die. Oh, someone took it. I can't really play. You have options.
I have not bought that because I will never probably play it with 5 or 6
But you don't need
players,
it for 5 or 6.
Right. So that just adds some more.
Because I really wish that they didn't call it a 5 or 6 player expansion.
Right. That's why I haven't bought it. That's
probably why most people haven't bought it. But it adds more stuff, and even adds more like secret goals and also more powers.
So anyway, really, I mean, I guess I should explain the game a little bit.
Huh? No, it's windows.
Stained glass windows.
Yeah.
You're just making them with cool translucent dice.
Yeah.
You can't put same colors next to each other. You can't put the same numbers next to each other, and it's freaking angering sometimes.
It was funny. Last time we played this was like one of our last games, and we were like exhausted. And I'm looking at because Kat picks a die, and she goes to place it, and I'm like, you can't do that. And she's like, oh really? I can't. And like I'm like, no, you can't. She's like, oh fine. And then she continues to place it, and I'm like, all right. And then she thought I was just fucking with her, and then she proceeds. She put a 2 next to another 2, and then next round she grabs another 2 and goes to place it. And I'm staring at it, and I'm just like, what are you doing? I'm like, you're just gonna have to take all that apart. The first time I played this game, I won with a broken window.
Yep.
So that was always really funny.
Yeah. So anyway, that's why it's on here. It's a puzzle that, especially if you choose the hardest pain to try to complete, that's where you get it the most.
Brutal ones.
Yeah.
Hell, I can even imagine the easier ones because you're like, because at least when the harder ones, you have ways to use the special powers, and you're like, okay, so that'll save me. But with the easy, you're like, well, I messed up, so that's that. Mm-hmm. All right, no, that's a good one. I would probably say, yeah, Sagrada has more of that ability to be AP than Role Player does.
Right. There's more manipulation in Role Player.
Yep, you're right. My number 2. Can you guess what my number 2 is? This is the heaviest game on this list.
It's the heaviest game on the list?
Yeah. And it was actually on the list previous to this that we just did today.
This is the fantasy one?
Yeah. Out of all the games that I've talked about, you'll never play it ever.
I know what it is. I just can't think of it. Talisman?
No.
I don't know. What is it?
Feudum.
Oh, okay. I keep forgetting that's fantasy. When I see the cover to that, I figure it's like Agricola with people on that have dropped acid. You know, it's like the cover's like
that sounds like
you know,
the
it's like,
theme and the wording makes it sound like that.
It doesn't look like fantasy at all when you look at the cover to me. You know?
That's fair. That's a good way of putting it. Is the theme is Agricola on acid, the gameplay is Agricola. Feudum is by far one of the heaviest games that I've ever played. And here's the thing, I even did a how to play for this game, and I'm pretty sure I couldn't even tell you how to play, because I do not remember. Feudum has so much in it. Like, the best way I could think of Mark Swanson making this game is he had an idea. Oh, I want to have a worker placement and resources. Oh, what if we had different guilds? Yes, add that. What if they all interconnected? Yes, add that. What if we had monsters? Add that. What if all the dice did something? He never said no. So they just added so much, but they did such a good job at making it all work. But the game works is you have workers and they're dice, so you think you roll them, you never do. They just have faces, and that's the guild that they kind of work for. So if you have a die that is for the Alchemist Guild, you have an influence in that. And basically, most people will start off kind of already owning some guilds, unless you all share the same one. But the game works around cards, and you're going to choose a certain number of cards to play on your turn. And the way the cards work is like, I'm going to do this, but if you have this worker out, then you can do the second one as well. I cannot imagine really anyone playing this game and be like, nope, I get it. Then you have to figure out, okay, well, if I want to have the most influence in this guild, then I'm going to have to do this. And, I have a feudum out, so if you have a feudum in a guild, then you're probably going to you're going to own control. But if you have the most, then you can only do the push action so if I have the most in the farm, then I'm going to get 5 points for that at a certain, once milestones hit where you at a certain epoch. Then, this game, the more I keep saying it, I'm like, oh, doing this and this and this. But if I have the most influence in the farm, then that means I can only push resources into a merchant, which will get me points. There's just so much in this game that you were gonna have analysis paralysis, like without a doubt. This is a game that I've seen it happen, and it's also happened to me, without a doubt. For the most part, as the game goes on, you will know what strategies to go for, and you're gonna omit a few things. But at the end of the day, the way the guilds intertwine, the way you can get points if you double move with the monk, then you go up on a track for travel, and then you can actually, if you get all the way there, then you'll get cards and you'll get points. Feudum is insane. And I have all the expansions, and I have not played with a single one of them. But they're all small, but it's like one of them's like squirrels and coffers. I don't know what they do, but I think it adds like another resource to add. And and then the Queen's Guard, or the Queen's Army, is the solo mode. Very whimsical themed game, but the gameplay is just Euro at its finest. So that's my number 2, Feudum.
All right.
I would love to sit here and try and play this game with you and watch you, and just to see. just to see if you would like it.
It's one of those things like, because I usually shy away from really complex games, but yet there's been a lot of them that I've played that as long as I'm not having to learn them, then
oh, like if you're being taught them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I can easily do that.
No, I know, but there's just games like over the years, and they're not necessarily big games now, but back then when I was first, Arkham Horror First Edition, when I was first starting, those were like, you know, and I didn't want to touch them or look at, but then somebody showed it to me and played it, you know, and stuff. So it's just like those really complex games need to be
taught to you, and for sure, I would love to teach this game to you, because I mean, it's been on multiple lists, and I really do like Feudum, but it has such a niche market, and I think you mentioned it at one top 10 before, is that the only way you would probably ever get this game played is if you play with the same people.
And that's what they said. The only reason I said that's because of the Super Ball podcast.
Gotcha.
That's what they said.
They're not wrong.
The main guy has it, and he's like, he plays thousands of games a year, and he's even intimidated by learning this game.
I don't blame him. Like,
it's like
whenever I was learning this game, I was like, oh, because normally Kat and I will break out a game, we'll learn it as a 2-player, and we got there's 5 epochs, I think 2 scoring epochs, and then the final scoring at the end of the game, and there's ways that, depending on whenever you do certain things in certain types of terrain, it'll add stuff and make the epoch short. We got to 2, and then Kat was like, can we do something else? I'm like, yeah, I think I got it. And then we recorded it. I did a how to play. I was so anal that freaking run through, because I had literally read the rules multiple times, watched videos, then did my own how to play video. And when people are like, oh, well, can I see the rule book? I'm like, no, I am right. You are going to listen to me. And then just go through this, it was insane.
Yeah.
So that's Feudum, my number 2.
Right, now back on the light side again. Is a tile laying game. There's tons of tile laying.
Okay.
It's in my
Valfrigia or whatever, the Norse.
Voluspa? Yeah.
Okay.
Voluspa. That's it.
What I say?
I don't know what you're saying.
Had a mental breakdown.
Voluspa I have on here. It's a simple tiling game, but I don't know how many different types of tiles there are, but with each tile having different scoring options to them, and you have the limitations of only being able to have 7 tiles per row or column and stuff. There's a lot of decisions to be made on this, and a lot of burning deals, because you can set people up big time with this too, just as much.
Yeah, that's true.
This game gets a lot. This game shouldn't take as long as it does. Every single time me and my other group play this game, it takes freaking long, because we're all just sitting there just gaming it big time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I can see that.
You don't want to be the one that puts another person in this tile, because then all I have to do is drop a Valkyrie down here and boom, they score. It's like,
you don't want to play a troll, because then you're like, right, that area is
right.
dead.
You need to know where to put Lokis, because everything's 0 around there, and it's like, and you have to be calculating your scores constantly to know if you're going to, have the werewolf or the Fenrir. The children Fenrir, the little wolf guys. The more you have in a row, the more they're worth. And it's and it doesn't have to be yours. It can be any the total of them in there. It's like there's a lot of mathing going on with this simple little 1.5 tiles.
Does this have an expansion?
Yes, Among the Gods, I think, and it just added a few more different tile types. Is all. I mean, it's there's other stuff. The creator was interviewed with one of the podcasts I listened to, and he said that they have more stuff prepared and ready to go, but they haven't been, the Stronghold hasn't decided to print them. So it's everything's just kind of standing there, but he has more stuff. It's like Kickstarting.
They might, they probably should.
But if Stronghold owns the license, so I don't know. But Stronghold's doing Kickstarters now, since they they merged with Indie Boards and Cards and Action game, the Aeon's End people.
Aeon's End guys,
because Stronghold doing their first Kickstarter now with Terraforming Mars.
You're right.
And stuff.
That
So
is
he's never done Kickstarters up until here just recently. So
yeah, and he got the bug.
Maybe they
Because
will.
as soon as that went on there, that was like, oh, 700% back.
Yeah. So anyway, Feluspa again, it's following this long line of games.
You know
that
what
are
I really
lighter
like?
games. It's just the decision making.
Yeah.
Takes a while.
This is a side note, real quick, but I was thinking, like, there's a lot of Kickstarters, obviously, for things other than board games, and there's a lot of really shitty Kickstarters.
Mm-hmm.
What I really like about the board game community with Kickstarters is that you're most likely not getting screwed by
Right.
one. And if there is one, like, there was like some Egyptian one, and it, like, died almost the next day.
Yeah.
Just because of everyone
Yeah, I
knew.
remember
Overlords
that
of, or no, it wasn't Overlords, it was, like, something of the sand. And it died, like, the next day.
Yep.
So it's really, yeah, like, you're going to get delays. Like, hardly ever have I ever gotten a Kickstarter that was exactly what I wanted. Like, it was promised and on time. I have gotten them, but yeah, that's just a side note. And let's talk about our number one together, because it's 5 Tribes. I'm like, if you haven't said it by now, here's the thing. Honestly, Feudum actually probably has more AP prone than 5 Tribes does. But the thing about 5 Tribes is that not only does it cause a lot of AP, it has what you said, where you cannot think about your turn.
Yep.
You can think about your turn in Feudum and be fine, but you're going to think a while. 5 Tribes, you can't.
You can't. It's impossible. I mean, you almost have to come up with 3 versions
Mm-hmm.
and hope they don't cross the path that you were going, because when you come by, it's like, God dang it.
Yeah. So
now there's only 4 on that tile, and I'm not going to be able to get to where I want to go.
So in 5 Tribes, you are it's in Middle East. There's really no theme to it, but you have
it's like Saudi Arabian theme. Like
yeah.
Arabian
So
theme.
you have a bunch of different colored meeples on tiles. I can't remember how many tiles start out on the game, but what you do on your turn is it's Mancala. So you pick a color on a tile, you grab all of them, and then you drop them in a certain way, and then the last color that you drop on the tile, you pick all those colors up, and they all do something.
And it has to have that color when you drop it
You're
down
right,
there.
yeah.
Or
So
else it's
now,
not.
so you have to think about, okay, which, and there's no like, oh, you start here. They're all available to you,
Yep.
every tile. And then, so you can grab any of those, and you can go really in any direction, orthogonally. You can't move diagonally. So you have to, okay, well, which way can I go? And then end on a tile, like you said, that has the same color. You pick all those up, and then like assassins, or the red ones are assassins, and then you can kill off other tiles. And you're trying to claim tiles with, was it tents or trees or something?
Well, yeah, some of the abilities put a tree on there, but if you take the last meeple off of there, then you gain control of that tile.
Yep.
So then you get the bonus points with those bonus
Mm-hmm.
points in it. But like you said, wherever you end, no matter if it's the last or not, every tile has an action.
Yep.
So that's something else you have to go, because the
yeah,
action
you're right.
may trump what you're doing in the deal. If you want to buy a gin, you need to get to a place where you can
Or you can buy a gin and then
stuff, or
yeah, and
you
then
know, there's just so much.
Cause yeah, you also have to So every meeple does something, and not like assassins are actual board related, but then like the yellows I think are just
Whoever has the most gets
Yep.
victory point.
Purples were artisans.
Yeah, it's still like the person with the most purples gets victory points. Plus, they let you get those
Special
tokens.
Yep.
And deals.
Then there's djinns that are just out there that you can get that have special abilities that you can use.
Yeah, the whites. You have to get the whites and the fakirs together.
Yep.
Get those. Blue
Yep.
gives you money for all the tiles around. Green goes, you buy stuff from the market.
Yep. Then you also have to auction for your turn.
Yep.
And
And every coin is a victory point.
Yep. And then you also do set collection by buying set.
Exactly.
Well, no, it's not. It is set collection, but it's not the same sets, right? You're doing.
It has to be a set of different things.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah,
So you're trying to.
you can't have
So
two at one
there's a
for-
row of on the market, and you're like, oh, I really need that, but you have to go on a way where I think you have to like you can only buy a certain.
Yeah, because if you buy
length.
if you buy a second one, then you have to start a new column. And I don't know how many different things there are. I think there may be
9.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And once you have that set of 9, then you're
Yeah,
going to the
and
next
then, I
one.
mean, if
There's
you
a
get
ton
that
of points.
Yeah,
man.
there's so many ways to get points,
and you can choose to sell at some point some of your
you're
set
right.
to get gold.
You're right.
I mean,
But what makes this game so AP prone is the fact that when it's your turn, you just have the board available to you. So you're looking at every single thing, and you're like, okay, I can do that, and that's going to go there. Like, normally what I'll do is, that's one, I will look at the board when other people are going, and it's like, okay, that seems to be the best one.
Do that then.
And then they take it, and you're like, well, okay, let's try and scan it again.
Yeah, and the thing that gets, the one thing I'll say that helps this game, AP-wise a little bit, when it's not your turn,
Mm-hmm.
kind of keeps you more engaged in the game, is
Yeah.
keep making sure they're doing legal, because I don't know how many times, and I'm sure it's happened with you a bunch too, when somebody's picked up 4 meeples, they go through and they set, and, oh, that's not legal. Now they go, oh, what did I drop
You're
here?
right, yeah.
So you would really have to police the table,
Mm.
the player's not going to make
Yeah,
sure
you're
that
right.
I've actually, at one point when it's been in a group that has this one jackass in it, it's like when you set them down, they go up in the top left corner.
Oh, okay.
That way it's...
And you can also pop them down, too.
Or pop, yeah, however you want to do it.
That's just a good way of doing it.
But, you know, there's... Yeah, just not knowing what your next turn is
Mhm.
going to be is the biggest thing. But then there's so many things you can do.
Yeah.
And
So many strategies available
God,
to you.
yeah.
It's probably my favorite Days of Wonder game. And then you add the Arts of Nikala or whatever.
that
the
one is
expansion.
my favorite of all of them.
I haven't tried the Whims of the Sultan or whatever
Yeah.
it's called, but in the Nikala one, it adds just a whole tile, so
That's where
nothing.
the purple meeples come in that set.
Yeah, and then it adds walls, which has actually probably help with the situation because you're like, well, I can't go that way, so at least I have some direction.
Mhm.
Like, I can either go around, but then it also can hurt you because you're like, oh, that'll oh no, how am I going to get around the
Yeah.
stupid mountains? This is one game that you were saying you've never won Azul. I've never won
I love this
5
game.
tries. I always get like second.
This is my number 2 game of all time this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's been number 1 previous.
Yeah. Where did I put it? It was high. It was top 50 at least.
But I love this game. Just
yeah, I think this was
it's
the
one
game.
that drives with me.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
for
it's-
sure.
You know, it's
I always was turned away from it because I'm like, really, Mancala? Okay, let's grow up a little bit. But it's such a good game. Even though this is one game that is like, even though I've never won, like I still have a fun time playing.
It's
Yeah. And I think this was the game that actually drove this top 10.
Oh really?
Like, at least for me, like, whenever we were like, oh, games that cause analysis
Well, that was the
paralysis,
first one.
5 tries.
Yeah,
Yep,
that
I'm
was
like, number 1.
Yeah, exactly.
And then let's build up from there. Just because, like I said, you can't plan your turns ahead. Everything else, like maybe Millennium Blades, but everything else, yeah, you have time. 5 tries, you don't. So that's it, everyone. Those are our top 11 games that cause analysis paralysis. Let us know what games cause you analysis paralysis in the comments below. But other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching this, and if you like this video, then click the subscribe button below to enjoy any video that I put out. And right next to that subscribe button is a little bell. Click that so you get notified of whenever I actually upload these videos. If you want to support the channel, you can definitely visit my Patreon page. The link is in the description below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.